It's another video from the Weiss Schwarz Club. You got Myth, you got Kaichou over here.
What's up, guys?
And today we got a pretty interesting video for you guys. We had a little bit of a Christmas show match between two of our friends on the Discord. They'll be playing the 8-choice slime and the gate standby RWBY that recently just came out. So it's going to be a pretty interesting one. What do you think, Kaichou?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how the room match will go since it just got released. Unfortunately, it got delayed, so we got it during the Christmas time, which means we didn't get a lot of testing done, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Anything you're particularly excited for look going into this matchup? Like how RWBY versus the 8-choice slime matchup will kind of play out?
Yeah, personally, since 8-choice slime is a really explosive deck, I think Ruby player has to be really careful around like mid twos, since you can just die from two and not be able to finish your combo. Uh, The one good thing is that Ruby does have memory counter, so if he plays like correctly and if he like hits a few standbys, then you can kind of deny that.
All right, just gonna get right into the game then. They just start off with the post moles, so just kind of going over the 8-choice list with the kind of the wombo combo, the 7 attacks Rimuru against Ruby, which is going to be the clock kick, kind of the Megamine type. Is
Yeah,
there any
you know
like
what I mean.
major interactions that you think could come into play between these two? Like Ramirez could be an annoying one for the Minami half in the early game, I imagine. But
Yeah, it's hard. And then, but the good thing is we do have like 4K runners, quote unquote, that can deal with Milim, so it's like not the worst thing with the early game.
yeah, so I like to imagine that Ruby, if you're playing the gate standby variation, is going to be a little better in the mid game, considering that HO Slime is probably going to be more about like slamming down 3 characters and just swing through passing as much as possible. Whereas like with the gate standby, as long as they're reverse targets, you're gonna try and actively focus down on the Minami half. While if you can potentially mill out those tutus, you can get the standby triggers. Ideally, on the last trigger, start spawning up big boards.
Yeah, they might play only 4 standbys that you're not trying to rely on the standby. And for this list, I see that they only play 2 copies of the 2-2, which means they're just having the 2-2 in case they hit it, but if they don't hit it, then it's fine.
That's kind of an interesting choice. I think that when you play non-8 standby, you tend to kind of shirk a little bit less into the stock of those larger standby targets. But it's like if this were say like the choice standby with the level 1 John combo, would you imagine there being more standby targets because a lot of them have the soul triggers on them compared to how gate standby could be played?
Uh, Personally, in my deck, I also only play 2 copies of the 2-2. The idea does make sense, right? You're playing choice standby, you have more triggers, but Ruby has like a lot of cards you want to play at 0, so you don't really want too many semi triggers, and you have enough deck speed, I think, that playing a small number of targets is fine too, because you're able to mill your deck and hit the standby anyways.
And I think the name of the game, for the most part, in the pre-level 1 is going to be kind of that race for Ruby to try and get, ideally, just both Puras into the memory as soon as possible, so that way you don't have to think about it later. Alternatively, you're just using a lot of the utility with the Mill Runner, like you said, with still with Pura because she is also partially a Rize in order to set up the gates, but also having enough uh, deck so that when you do Minami, you're not just Minamiing into like a pretty much refreshed deck for the most part.
Yeah, so we see here he plays the egg in the front. I think for Ruby, the slime level 0 is like super hard to get your reverse off. Either playing door or choice. Since Chameleon Chaser is kind of good card, right? No matter where you are, you're never gonna get the reverse off unless you're like trialing combo. And at that point, it's just like super bad. So if the slime player just plays slowly, it should be pretty good for them. In my opinion, I think being able to push slime to 1 first is better for the Ruby player since you're able to get your targets off.
Yeah. So one other thing about the eight choice deck is that I believe this is the iteration where he plays the Rickies as well. So he does have ways to grab his level one combos aside from just um, like drops or not drop searching, but aside from like Ramorous. So he does have options to set up, but he doesn't necessarily have to get triple combo every time necessarily.
Yeah, and the slime player also plays the submarine technology. So if RWBY players tries to play a little slow, then their cards can get like just deleted. But this one doesn't bond deck; it just sends the waiting room, so they can basically take more damage and hit the one first, which forces them to like play a jump turn because they can't get reverses.
Yep. Another thing that's going to be a pretty key part of the a choice side of the matchup is going to be how many early choices you trigger. Because ideally, you just put in a Rimuru or two early on, so that way when you get to the late game, you'll just have it all set up and ready to go. But it's also a bit key because if you don't have the ability to pay out that deep, then those Rimurus are just buried forever, and that can be a bit of a
Yeah,
double-edged sword. I know that uh, we've seen a few examples of seeing the Rimuru kind of pseudo whiff as a result of that.
yup. It might be in stock, but if you can't pay it out, then what's the point of putting it in stock, right?
Yeah.
So pretty standard game here. It seems that's okay. So replayer still at level 0 here. Two chasers for slime player. The replayer doesn't play Rickies, so it's gonna be a little hard for them to get to level 1, even though level 1 here is like not that good. So he's just probably gonna play just another 0 turn.
Is there anything in the like?
Hits 3 on brainstorm though. Oof.
Ooh, pretty good.
It's good, but then you realize it's a spam brainstorm, so it just hand filtering 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, it does play a little bit into the whole force standbys where you can start setting up targets in there, but
Yeah.
I don't imagine there being that much more than like maybe one or two one ones, if at all.
Yeah, he
Uh,
doesn't play any one ones. It's like kind of the RWBY deck is kind of like playing Kaguya in a sense. Except your level 0 game is like inherently worse.
yeah,
But I think the idea of it is like uh pretty similar. You try to get your reverses, spam or some stuff to hand filter. But for me, I don't play Spambo. I play the 1/0 Taiyang because it's yellow. It also fits with my John combo. That card is actually really good. It gives 1k global on your turn, and then it has pay when ditch a card, rest it to check 3 add anything. So it lets you ditch your standby targets or any other card you don't need, and then grab cards that you need, like climaxes and stuff.
yep. Uh, so like you said, these Melon chases are going to be pretty tricky to deal with in these early stages without the Mill Runner because they do get up to 4K. It does come at the. I don't know if it's a particular problem, but he will potentially only be swinging two times. But it's kind of still going slow. I don't imagine there being too many explosive things that the slime player can do on the first level one turn.
Yeah, because 4 more is kind of reconditioned, but every time a Mill lives, that's one less card you have to play.
Yep. Uh, so one Milim will live, leaving two characters on the board. What are kind of the scariest, not really scariest, but it's like, what are the setups that you imagine the slime player is looking for here? Like, I imagine Ramorous a level 1 combo into playing one from the hand is always
Yeah,
a
pretty much
go-to.
the
Like,
play. You can proceed to like play a potion maker in the back row if you really wanted to. He did level blue. Uh, at level 1, I don't think you try to deny as much because like you have a 4 more condition, so you can't really deny the opponent with like clean cut and stuff. So you just try to play your cards as efficiently as possible. And it doesn't really matter if they get reversed or not
yep.
because you're playing a choice and like your deck is like super good late game. So as long as you get there, you should be okay.
And then talking about the late game, we kind of briefly went over it. The wombo combo, 7 attacks, Rimuru versus the triple clock kick, burn 3 clock kicks on the Ruby side. Where do you think that like the matchup goes from like pretty trade off to like it can snowball really easily into one person's advantage? Like with Ruby, I imagine like it's much better when you get to the precision kills where you're like not worried about doing big damage. You're just dealing with the opponent's board at that point. Versus like Rimuru, where it's kind of more about like blowing the opponent out of the water or like forcing the opponent into deck states where they don't have enough climaxes to cancel all 7 attacks.
Yeah, so I think that slime player is always gonna be favorite unless they hit 3-0 and they don't have combo. Because Ruby does pretty good job of killing a 3-0 because 1 clock kick and 2 burns means you're dead anyways. Which means you're able to kill, but because it's the Ruby combo only does like 3 damage in the clock kick, so it's not like damage extension. It's basically you swing, but you get an additional clock kick, right? So you don't have that much damage compared to like the slime player where they just keep swinging.
Mm.
Yeah, so it depends on who gets the 3 first. But also if slime gets to 3, and they can definitely kill the Ruby player unless Ruby's like super compressed with like 7 or 8 climax in the deck at 3-0, then they have a chance of living. But we can see here that slime player doesn't have combo, which is kind of unfortunate. But
Do you think it's that he doesn't have combo, or that do you think it's possible that he wasn't willing to fulfill the 4 or more condition potentially with the Ramirez?
uh, um, I feel like he would have had card to play because there's no way he doesn't have, unless it's like super unlucky. But I think if you have combo, you always play it here. Uh, there's no point in not playing. Like, he's playing for the clean cut, so he's basically trying to deny the Ruby player. Because he's gonna clean cut Ramris, the clean cut goes to memory because of the Ramris effect, and then Milim Chaser just gets a free front row to run to, so Ruby can't ever get the reverse here.
Because another kind of, I wouldn't say it's interesting thing, but this is something that I think will help define a bit of the game is kind of win the 2 players climax combo, because obviously if they don't have like the pieces or the climax itself, then it's a moot point. But it's like if there's a situation where you don't necessarily, or you have the pieces and the condition to fulfill, is there ever a point where you're like, I think I could play this slow, or I think I could play without the combo and go for these like just swing for damage, swing 3 pass type of angles, similar to how the slime player is in this case?
Yeah, if anything, Slime is able to play the deck slower than the Ruby can. Ruby player can, because Ruby requires on reverse, right? So you can't really take it slow. It's basically dependent on your opponent giving you targets, and Slime doesn't need reverse, so they can play however they want the pace of the game to be. So
Right.
they have the better choice.
So it's like I'm just thinking right now with that in mind, right? Do you think it's possible where it's like um the slime player is actually kind of disincentivizing the Ruby player from doing combo, and then just bringing up 3 randos, right? And then on the following turn, he can retaliate with like a double or maybe even a triple combo for all we know type of situation.
Yeah, that could be an option, like trying to deny your opponent getting their pluses, so then you just deplete them more resources, then while you just always get your resources no matter what.
Especially because Ruby did refresh the deck, or not refresh the
Yeah,
deck.
they just refresh. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like this is a new deck to Minami into, which can. It's one of the. I wouldn't say it's an ideal time to do it, but it's
Yeah,
like
you want
better
to
now than the
Minami.
present, or better now than later when you're not at the top of the deck, right?
Yeah, like I don't know how many outs. I was really watching that one, but uh Minami is basically like Amelia combo, except Myith has the luxury of knowing what to trigger. Myith even in the second deck is like okay. It's a lot better than Amelia for sure, but it still feels pretty bad when the first card's a climax, and then you just have to dig like 4 more. You mill 2 more climaxes, right?
It's just a large. It has the potential to snowball from like bad to worse situations, and
Yeah,
I think that that's kind of something that we're gonna want to watch for on the RWBY side when he decides to combo or when he decides to just like patience and play a steady hand more so than anything, because sometimes you can get into these like not really panic, but it's like you get hit for a little more damage than you anticipate, right? Because Ruby's currently at 1-5, coming in from 0-4, I believe, and
yeah. So he doesn't have combo here, which is unfortunate. Which means he's not gonna be able to push damage, but hopefully these empty lanes will help him make up for the damage.
right. Although, like, I guess one thing that could. Oh, okay, there's a standby
Okay,
trigger
so
right there.
standby. He gets to summon his 2/2. Okay, that he does have, which is good.
And now we have slime refreshing. So, like, this is kind of that back and forth where I imagine things could get interesting as well. Now that slime is refreshing, if he takes the 3, then refresh point, so he'll be at 1-6, and then you swing in, and then you could be finding yourself just at level 2 out of nowhere. Or,
Yeah.
and that could get really sticky. Oof.
Yep,
Okay.
and he takes it.
But like on the
And
bright side, right? This does give him the ability where if he does say cancel here, or he can clock himself, and then he has 6 known cards that he can salvage from when he does the combo.
yeah,
Oh wow.
but he takes it. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's another Xion combo going to clock. And let's see what he chooses to level here. So he wants yellow, but yellow's coming in. He also wants red
Red.
potentially. So he just levels, I think. Uh, yeah,
Okay.
the submarine here, which is fine.
I think there's no need to worry too much, because then the options can become he could do like a Ramorous for one level 1 combo, or he could do an early play potentially.
Yeah. Alpha here is fine if you want to kill 2/2. Ideally, or you can also just slam double comp and try to swing there. It's fine. If you want to save the stock case. You get hit to level 3 randomly.
Um, he did get about like 3 turns at level 0, and he only paid out 2 stock as far as I know. One for Ramorous, one for Brainstorm. So you should have a fair amount of stock to play around with if you wanted to like go through his deck a little bit more potentially, or to slam down a few extra like characters for resources. So it can go anyway.
Yeah, because right now he basically can kill everything except the 2/2. The only way to kill 2/2 is with an early play, or if you get lucky with your climax triggers, and you have the 1/0 remove with the soul trigger that gets big. But if you don't drop an early play here, you're probably just jumping into the 2/2 anyways.
Yeah. Let's see. Looks like he's counting cards in his hand.
Seeing if you need to clock or brainstorm. At this point, you probably just don't clock.
If he
If anything, you
brainstorms at
brainstorm.
all, yeah.
Maybe he looks for climax. Maybe he already has it in hand. Okay, so he
Okay.
brainstorms here.
Okay. There's a good hit too.
Up. So we hit one of each. So let's see how many he tries to dig here. Ideally, you don't want to dig too much. Your deck still has a lot of climaxes in it.
Yep. Another good thing is that with this HOA slime list playing the luxury ad, that also adds another level of like uh, decision making that you have to do, like how many cards you have to dig, like you said, how many thing, uh, keeping in mind what's left in the deck usually. Okay, so there's a potion maker.
Change ready the stock, get ready the 3/2 to put in the stock. Yeah, the Aaron Brainstorm or Ellen Brainstormer, that card gives you a lot of utility in this kind of list. It helps you grab your climax. You can just keep looping combo. It mills your deck, which is important because there's not that much mill if you don't play the Fuka. So it lets you fill your waiting room targets, and being on top of just uh, grabbing anything and not giving your opponent information is always good.
Well, I guess giving the opponent like an idea of what isn't being added to your hand is information, but it's not as vital as known information, I suppose.
Yeah.
Whew. But yeah, so this is technically game one of a best of three for this, so we'll be coming back with you guys for each of the subsequent games after this, so.
Hopefully we get to game 3, we get some action.
um, in your opinion, if you had to put a BO3 down, where would you put the, I wouldn't say the betting odds, but it's like, where would you put kind of the statistics in favor of? Would you put it?
Uh, I think Slime is definitely more favored. I'm not sure how much favored. It's probably like 60 to 70%. Like it's close to 50-50, but the Slime just has the small edge of like if they're behind, they can just win the game from the full combo.
Yeah.
And RWBY can't really punish early game that well because like this list doesn't play clean cut and stuff. And even though you can't even get a clean cut of Melon Chaser, like it's super hard to push the Slime without losing resources yourself. Because Slime just has to commit one card, but you have to commit 3 cards or something to like kill their one card.
Oh, that's a double
It's very
trigger
tricky.
choice.
After hitting 2 in the Brainstorm, after playing 1, so he's out 5 right now.
I believe he's like still partway through the deck. He's not exactly close to the end of it either, so.
Yeah, he's like halfway or something, like probably less than halfway. This is like possibly where RWBY can make a comeback, since Slime is behind in damage, right? So you just slam a door here and swing. And they'll
Especially
probably hit
now that
3
you'll
or high
have
2.
two Minami targets potentially. Now that you've double canceled as well, like
Yeah.
having the ability to just get yourself out of that deck state will definitely come into play.
Okay, so he sides here, which is fine if he wants to save a damage. The damage doesn't really matter too much here. You can like make the argument of fronting to deny Minami, but I really just don't think it matters if you're trying to save the damage anyway. So
Yeah.
probably better here.
So in terms of where the matchup seems to lie, I think that like RWBY is better at the more consistent uh, matchups. So well, I imagine that once the if games were played in a BO3 format, I imagine that Slime is really good at the game one because you don't know every single tech option that is available to you. But then come game two, I think RWBY might have a better job of being able to readjust for the most part. So it could come
Yeah,
down to that type of situation where it's like game one is all about kind of finding out all the techs, and then game two is finding out or being able to address those, and then game three just kind of comes down to just raw Weiss Schwarz at that point, you know?
yeah. I think because H Slime or HA Slime is definitely a high roll deck. So if you high roll like the first game or get like super good cancels, you can definitely win the game. Or if your opponent, just eats like 5 out of the 7 attack, they kind of just die there anyway. So uh, it's super explosive. But if you keep going, then like RWBY's definitely gonna scale better in terms of like being able to have cards they need, grab resources better, and not have to like commit
Oh,
cards to like protect. Okay, so he double cancels.
No, it's a
Oh, he's
single
seeing that.
cancel, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Single cancels.
Oh, and that's
Trade
a
the
gate
door here.
trigger. So, I believe that's two climax triggers, because I don't know if the slime player stocked on the first and then handed on the second or not, or if he double stocked. So, okay, so he finds himself
It's
at level
3.
3-0.
Yeah, so 3-0 to 1-6. Definitely not kill range. So you had to take a jump turn here.
Uh, so like in terms of taking this chump turn, like what are you looking for mainly? I imagine this could be like a clock heal and then maybe double combo if that's something that's available to him. If not, Ramorous and uh, what would you spawn from Ramorous? Maybe another clean cut.
Spawn clean cut, spawn combo. You definitely want to pay out the 2 climaxes. Triggered and try to refresh here. So we see that he clocks. So we can get the value of the heal. Like any of the heal is fine.
5 cards left, it looks like.
5
Hmm.
there. Maybe one choice in there. Maybe not.
There's only 6 known at the very least, I believe. I didn't remember if he paid out that early choice when we were talking about getting the early rumors into stock. If he did, then he should have it running around somewhere. But it's gonna be a little bit of decision making here to get yourself out of this. At
Yeah,
what
so
point do you just go for the combo? Do you think if you're the slime player in this situation, like
uh if opponents at mid 2, like high 2, they're definitely kill range. Mid 2, like 2-4 is possible. Because you only have to stick 4 attacks and then refresh, or 3 attacks and refresh. 2-4, like 2-3 is also potential depending on how many they're out and how big their deck is.
okay? So we start off
But
with the Rammer.
definitely not 1-6 here. So he spawns combo. Uh, the next card is a choice, so he's just deciding whether he wants to pay it out. Another option you can have is just pay to heal with the push maker here and save the stock for next turn so you can guarantee the Rimuru being at the top.
So oh, another. Okay, so there's the Xion, or
Okay,
not the
so
Xion.
he stocked one of them. So
There should still be
the,
one
yeah,
floating
the
at the
next card should
top
be a
here.
stock. Yeah, guess he's not gonna pay it out.
In the grand scheme of things, if he's confident in being able to set up the combo, then at that point he's just trying to get the last bit of stock that he'll need in the end, I imagine. So
Yeah, if you're in a good enough deck state, you should survive with 7 damage. Like 7 health right now is like not the worst thing. Like you can be a 3-6 and do full combo and heal to full like 3-0, right? So it's definitely possible. So basically he's trying to get the Ruby player like at least to level 2. Well, he's definitely level 2, but like mid level 2, so he can potentially go for the kill. Uh, I don't know. He doesn't seem like he has a climax in deck. Grabs combo here, as expected. Triggers one as expected. Pretty good.
oh, did he set for 2 to try and get the guaranteed 1 damage potentially here? Mm.
He's scared of counter because that's the Rammer's one.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, because 2K counter ties with it, but I don't think that matters. Because so what are our games together is that slime player values memory a lot, which sometimes I don't think matters too much. For memory, the memory is like it's nice, but it really doesn't do anything for your deck. Like maybe you get an extra cancel, like one less card, but I think sometimes you lose damage.
Okay, so then next up, just swinging with the healer.
Turns
What
for
was it for?
4. See if he takes this 4. If he takes this, oh,
Oh, okay. This is where the game gets a little bit interesting, I
it's
think,
a little
right?
spicy because now Ruby probably can clock the 3 and then just like drop triple Ruby to have it, even double Ruby, and
Um,
be able to kill them from here.
if you have double ruby, then because that's a level one bomb over there in the final lane, does that mean that it's kind of like one of those signal flares if you don't choose not to bomb, right?
Yeah,
Regardless of
you just
what
don't bomb.
happens here.
Yeah. So he chooses the bomb here, which means he probably isn't gonna go for the line of play. Maybe just LA play heal down. But even then, I don't think healing down here is correct because line play will just kill you next turn. So the heal actually doesn't matter. So you would just clock the 3 into combo. Uh, so I wouldn't bomb there personally. I mean, he doesn't
So
have combo, right? So like, so it's just
okay, so
unfortunate.
clock to 3 and then
So
just
he
try and dig for it,
clocks.
maybe. He could
Yeah,
also be looking for Neo, I imagine, in order to just drop 2 bodies on the open lanes so that you can hit confirm. You might not get triple, but being able to just hit confirm 2 cards is always nice when you're doing the Ruby combo. Okay, so here we
yeah.
go.
So he does Neo here. So he spawns 2. It does work because double clock kick puts him at 3-2. Refresh to 3-3. So oh, both burns are lethal, but then to be at 5, right? So to be at 6. So then you could just like put a 0 inside with Neo, and it'll be 7. Or you can
Oh,
front for
he
2.
just salvaged a gate with the Neo.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't have a standby, which was kind of unfortunate here. A little bit of a misplay. The standby was a little deep, I think it was.
I don't recall 100%, but I
Or he could have
suppose
played a mill, but that was probably missed by not checking waiting room for standby.
if he was gonna go for that, do you think it's ever a situation where he's trying to go for another Minami turn in this case?
Uh, I don't. If he doesn't have combo, then maybe you can just slam a door. But if you have Ruby in hand, you can definitely just mill your deck. Like hopefully get something.
Okay, so the
This,
standby is still in there if he has one at all. Um,
yeah, maybe he doesn't, which is unfortunate. Personally, I wouldn't spawn a 0 here. I would spawn like a 1 in the middle, if anything.
get those extra side values.
Better numbers. Like you would just spawn double 1 here. Like I don't think there's a point of spawning a level 3. So the idea of spawning a 3 is that you clock kick it so they can't get the 3, which is like fine. So like 3 to 1 is probably ideal. Uh, I'm pretty sure because he has a Rammerson waiting, so he definitely had a 1 to spawn.
Hmm. Although I guess it is important to keep in mind that both players do know that this is a BO3 show match, so they do have kind of a luxury to readjust between games. So maybe this is
Yeah,
just like that
warm
game
up game.
one mistakes type of jitters or something.
Yeah,
But
just a warm up game. He does have Minami and wait, no, that's the runner actually. It's not the Minami, or is that the Minami? I can't tell. That might be the Minami actually in the back
that
row.
should be the Minami because that was what the Xian combo cited.
Right. Okay, so he icy tails here, which I think is definitely incorrect. Uh, because I think He's refreshing 5 here, and there's like 3 in stock.
I think stock swapping might be slightly better because even though you don't necessarily hit climaxes,
It's 1.
you do
Yeah, you can
get the
put.
opportunity to like disrupt the placement of the Rimurus that you know that he
Yeah,
has at least one minimum.
yeah, put it back in the deck so he doesn't know where it is. Or you have to RNG the mill.
Yep.
So he does hit 1 climax here. So 3-2. Here you just swing 2-2-2 or 3-3. 3-2 also works because then 2-3 is a stick. 3 in the 2 sticks also kills. Any trigger can probably kill, but not having a 1 here is a little sus, I think.
Hmm. So here's the opening 3. There's a cancel. So then these two have to stick in order for the game to end. So, well,
3
that's a
triggers,
3.
3.
Okay.
Okay. So this is where the side for 2 would have came in handy, right? If you had
Is
it.
he choosing not to Minami here?
Uh, First game jitters.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, this part
Oh,
was a
okay.
little unfortunate. Yeah, he grabs the egg. You're just trying to get to a new deck state at this point. Uh,
Looks like
just runs.
that's two
Can't really
cards
do
left
much.
in the deck, and then
Yep, he gets his refresh.
does he think there's okay? So then
Standby
standby,
trigger. Places the 1-0.
replace it with
Put 3-2
Ruby.
Ruby here. Yeah.
Yep. Okay,
Or he plays
placing a
Weiss
Weiss.
instead. That's
Most likely
interesting.
to preserve the 2/2.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of misplacement here. Yang always had Encore, right? So you actually don't have to buff the Yang. You rather buff Cinder. Or not Cinder, Salem.
Salem.
So at least that card lives, which is a little misplacement on his part. Uh, I would just stand by over the 1-0 so you don't get your opponent can't side that card like 5 times and then kill
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because restanding against a level 1 is kind of good.
I mean, I don't imagine standbying out a level 2 would have done him much favors either. So he
Yeah,
really did
so
need to either destroy the or like play over the ruby entirely, or he needed to go for this like preservation on
yeah,
the
because
Salem.
he had a 3-2, so 3-2 Ruby, so could have played over the 1-0 Ruby. At least with the 2-2, your opponent only sides for 1, so it's like not the worst thing.
Hmm.
Yep, he has the combo here. So now he has to figure out if he has enough deck, because we all know you can fail the combo if you refresh your deck.
No targets. So then
So he has at least like 2 Rimros in stock. He paid 1 out.
I
There's probably 1 more.
I
And then the one
know
he's
that
stock.
there's at least the one that sparked the discussion of early stock Rimuru.
Yeah, so that one, the one he triggered last turn, and the one Potion Maker. So then all 4 is visible then, or
Yeah.
at least known.
So then I imagine you don't need to worry about anything. You just bring up some characters and then you just go in.
Yeah. Yep. Slime Player likes to play the Climax Opera, gives you Scry. Pretty good effect if you're trying to get precise damage late game.
And then I'm guessing you may as well put in a little extra marker.
In case you live, because you're going to heal down 3 times. Or maybe you would just heal here, but depending on the stock, yes, because he only heals 3 times. So he'll go down 3-1, which is kill range. But it's fine if he
Let's
doesn't
see
heal here, if he
here.
doesn't believe he has enough stock.
Alright,
So
so
he's going to side here. Good thing about Rimuru is he spawns a new copy, so the soul doesn't stay at the end of the game. So you can like side here, the next one will be front and it'll be for 3. It's a new copy.
then trying to figure out how much damage he wants to do.
Cypher 2 cancels. Yes, so RWBY player had, so he built 4 off me, and I mean, he saw 2 climaxes. He triggered 3 clean, so then that's 7, and there's 8 last card. So he had 4, 3 and 8, which was,
I thought it was 4 and 8 because he milled 2 off the Minami, and the last trigger was the
oh, the last
standby.
trigger standby. Yeah, so he had 4 and 8, right? So then a little bit of a sus mill 4 there, I think.
Um, he looked 1 and then
Was clean, and then he looked 2 more and it was climax, so he milled the last one, which was clean. So if you checked 1 there, knowing that you had 4, right, then you would trigger 2 standbys, but then you still had 2 cancels in the deck.
a little bit
Yeah,
unfortunate, but
but that just comes from experience, like know what's left in deck.
game 1 jitters. It's all good.
Yep, yep,
Okay, so here we go. Good old fashioned wombo combo.
yep. So basically, you side here a bunch of times because you swing with a bunch of 2s, and 2s are more likely to stick than 3s.
Well, if the slime player was paying attention, he would know that there's only 6, I believe, in this new deck. So he'll have 6 more attacks. So unless every single one is a cancel, but then if all of them are cancels, then there's no way to get the Ruby combo off.
Yeah, but we do know that player plays 2 Neo, so it's possible. Okay, cancels at the top. This combo pays out 1 more 3/2.
The other reason why I think that it wouldn't be likely is because then he would only be able to play the Neo because he only has the 3 stock. So
Yeah, which is why I believe in stemming out 3/2 last turn. It's also fine. So we see all 4 copies.
so he should be good to go in terms of being able to.
But does he have enough deck? Which is the problem. I think he has 6 cards left in deck. Then he has swing, mill 2, swing, mill 2.
He'll have it
If,
precisely enough, I believe, but that means that he'd need to.
no, if he has 6, he can't because then he'll go into a new deck with nothing to spawn. Because he takes the 3, which is huge.
So then this is where you spawn number 4.
2. This is number 3.
Let's
And I
see.
think he only had. Oh, he's 2 in deck. Okay. 2 deck is fine. You get another spawn, but I think you missed an attack. This is only the 3rd one, right? If I remember correctly.
This should be the 4th one.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, we're at 3-6. And I think at this point you're just okay with whatever comes out. So then you side here for 2, and then you can spawn out a 1 soul beater inside for 1 in any situation, right?
Yeah.
So then for 3, or side for 2, and that's game.
Yeah. Basically what we expected. RWBY player misplayed a little bit with grabbing the door because he didn't have a standby.
Yeah, I think aside from kind of a late game kind of going that way, do you think there was any other major things that we couldn't take away from that? Kind of just like for those new RWBY players out there, for example, or for those Slime players who are looking to get a little bit of an edge against the potential RWBY matchup, like.
Yes, I think as RWBY player, if you're not, so it was probably a mistake that he didn't have the standby. But I guess if the line was he was gonna go with the standby, it didn't matter what he spawned of Neo because he was just clocking it anyways. Uh, but if that's the case, then you should have checked waiting first, right? So just make sure you check you have the standby, and then if you know you have it, then you can decide what to spawn. Because you grab the if you're always gonna grab the climax, grabbing it first is fine. Uh, I think that game it wasn't there wasn't much to talk about except the slight misplays just favoring the other player instead. Slime, you're it's easier for you to make mistakes because you're or it's like more forgiving for you to make mistakes since your top end is so strong. So it's really hard to for the RWBY player to come back with that. So
Yeah.
I think it just depends on how experienced you are and what you can do with that experience.
But like kind of looking on the other side of this, just kind of something that can be a potential takeaway in the a choice matchup is that you do have to kind of be careful of Neo in the same regards, right? Because when you ramrus a character, that does leave an open spot for Neo to just drop a character or to clock kick it away. So then you could get some potential disruptions. Like, I imagine that one really scary interaction that could happen is Neo, and then you put two Rimarus up on the board, and then you clock kick away the Rimarus, and then you burn three, right? And the three sticks. It becomes that much harder for you to get to the Rimarus if they're kind of deeper in the clock, right?
Yeah, that's basically the idea with that. It's easier, but then Slime has an easier time playing around that because like one's in their hand, the other two in their stock, right? So there's only always one at
Right.
most. So
In an
it's easier
ideal
for the
state,
player.
obviously, but it's like that
Yeah,
is
but that's
something
what you
that
want
you
to go
can
for.
kind of like for the slime players out there, you can kind of take that lesson away from this is something to
Yeah,
be careful about in this matchup.
yeah. I think playing a choice, it's important to keep track of where your rumors are. Uh, and for RWBY players, make sure you're able to be careful what you're spawning because if you spawn a 3-2 and they counter over the 3-2, you actually just give them a free, right? So you gotta make sure what you're spawning, how you want to attack order, use your attack order, because like the if you're not thinking right and you spawn like just whatever, thinking you're gonna clock kick, it doesn't matter. But like there are also more lines of play that you can do, like spawn targets, which is important for the game state and getting precision damage.
All right, but like we said, this is just game one of this little BO3 show match that we had between these two players. So be sure to stick around for the next few games. So until then, and we'll see you guys for the next video.
Laters.